you are in a relationship with yourself, and when you don't like yourself, you're not going to want to do yourself any favors. But when you like yourself, when you express love to yourself, then you're more willing to actually do the things that will help you be who it is you want to be. Welcome to Breakthrough Mode, the podcast where we intentionally get into the driver's seat of our lives, shift out of monotony and mediocrity, and step on the gas towards becoming the person we were always meant to become. Hello, and welcome to episode 213 on the Breakthrough Mode podcast. I am your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for joining me and pushing play on today's episode. Today, I wanted to chat about something that goes hand in hand with our discussion about Michelangelo's David that we had on last Friday. It was episode 210. So if you hadn't listened to that one and you find yourself confused at some point, go listen to that one and it'll help. Okay. So we're leaning into this idea that I presented to you last Friday about new year, more you, more of who you are already. And as we talked about removing what isn't you, this is a very important part about making any sort of changes or improvements to yourself. And that is accepting who you are right now and accepting who it is you are underneath. So if Michelangelo saw this block of marble and was trying to make David out of it, yet he was not accepting that he had all of this extra marble, he wasn't going to get very far. Michelangelo saw what he had to work with, right? He saw that he had this block of marble. He also saw, like I told you, this block of marble had been dug into before. There was a previous sculptor who had attempted to use this block of marble. So it wasn't a perfect block. It had, and I think that's why David has the pose he has, because this marble had been dug into before. And that's what Michelangelo had to work with. There was nothing Michelangelo could do about putting more marble into what had been taken out. Like, he just had to work with it. He had to work with this imperfection, this downside, this thing that he would rather not have worked with. Maybe that's what he had to work with. Okay. So when you look at yourself or think about yourself and you are thinking about like, oh, I've got all of this that I need to improve on. I've got all these bad habits. I've got all of these bad behaviors. I've got all of this clutter in my environment. I've got all of this blah, 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 whatever. If you are hating yourself about it, if you are ignoring it or avoiding it or resisting it, you are going to have a hard time changing it. And as I was thinking about this quote came to me over and over again. And it is by psychologist Carl Rogers. He did a lot of work in the therapy world and really some really great work. But he said, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. So think about that. I'm going to repeat it because this is like, what? Okay. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. So going back to our, analogy with Michelangelo's David, Michelangelo accepted that this block of marble is what he had to work with. He accepted that a previous sculptor had dug into it. He accepted the imperfections of it. He accepted how big it was, how heavy it was. He accepted all of this about this block of marble, and he accepted the challenge of having David emerge from this block of marble. He accepted all of that. And then he was able to get to work. And then he was able to create something truly inspiring and phenomenal. You, as this block of marble, have your own imperfections, your own things that you wish you didn't have to work with or deal with or improve on or change or overcome or whatever it is. And when you can look at yourself and you think, okay, this is what I've got to work with. This is where we are right now. And you can adopt this energy of acceptance of where we are right now. Then you are finally empowered to do something about it. Because when you accept it just as is, you're not fighting what is currently. The important thing here is to know that what you are working with right now is simply what you are working with right now. This is not an indicator of your ability to change. This is not an indicator of where you can go and who you can become. This is not an indicator of now you're destined to fail because you've accepted what you've created thus far or who you are thus far. This is not anything about the future. If we use our being on the road metaphor, this road of life, if you are in a shady part of town or at a rundown gas station or in the middle of a field, you're going to be able to move on from that undesirable location if you stop for a minute and you're like, okay, this is where I am. And here's the powerful bit. I don't have to stay here. I don't have to stay here. I can figure out where I am. I can figure out where I want to go. I can figure out what I want to create. And then I can do what I need to do to get there, to go somewhere else, to be somewhere else, to be someone else. But the acceptance part is key. You have to accept what you're working with right now. Another great quote that goes along with this, I found it as I was looking for this one by Carl Rogers. I found this one as well, and I was like, well, that's kind of perfect. I'm going to tie them in together. So this lady, she founded this website called Tiny Buddha. I've never been on it, but apparently it's a great self-help website. Let's boss people love it. Cool. I like the quote. Her name is Lori. I don't know how to say her last name. I'm not even going to try. Her name is Lori. She founded Tiny Buddha. You can go look it up. That's enough information. I'll put it in the show notes, okay? I'll put it in the show notes. So I don't want to butcher her name, but you can go find it. She said, we can't hate ourselves into a version of ourselves we can love. We cannot hate ourselves into a version of ourselves we can love. That acceptance piece is key. When you're trying to make a change, if you are hating yourself all along the way, that energy isn't very motivating. It's just not. It's not something that you can work with on a sustainable level. However, so let's take the good old weight loss example. If you are hating yourself because of all the weight you put on from the holidays or whatever, if you are so mad about your behavior and your eating habits and blah, blah, and you're just hating yourself and berating yourself and, calling yourself names, if you're doing all of that nonsense, it's going to be mighty hard to start eating well and exercising and making those changes that will help you lose the weight. Because you're resisting what currently is and trying to just ignore it and bypass it and create something else. And that resistance is going to slow you down and eventually stop you. However, if you take some kindness and some love to it and you're like, look, I had a great time over the holidays and I ate a lot. And now we're just going to be like, okay, that's what we did. I love myself anyway. And now because I love myself, I'm going to choose differently Because I love myself, I'm going to choose to eat better. Because I love myself, I'm going to choose to exercise. And that is so much more powerful. Because if you ever tried to do something for someone that you truly don't like, you're like, man, I hate this person. I can't wait to do something for them. No. So if you're hating yourself, you're not going to want to do anything for yourself. And yeah, that seems like seems a little crazy, but it actually makes sense because you are in this relationship with yourself. I don't know if you've ever thought about it that way, but you are in a relationship with yourself. And when you don't like yourself, you're not going to want to do yourself any favors. But when you like yourself, when you express love to yourself, then you're more willing to actually do the things that will help you be who it is you want to be. Because loving yourself is a choice. Either way, you can love yourself now with all of your flaws and imperfections and bad habits and bad behaviors. And you get to love yourself when you have different or less flaws, imperfections, bad habits, and behaviors. Because the truth of it is, since we're on this human experience, this human journey, we will likely always have habits we would rather not have. We will likely always have imperfections we'd rather not have. We will likely always have a reason to hate ourselves if we are looking for a reason to hate ourselves. You can just pretty much count on that. Because as we grow and as we evolve, we open ourselves up to being able to implement different things to improve on and different things to reach for and a different version of ourselves to become. It's this continual journey. So if you can accept what you've got to work with right now, who you are right now, knowing that you don't have to stay this person, you don't have to continue with the behavior, you don't have to continue down the trajectory. You can change the trajectory at any time, but you have to accept where you currently are in order to make that difference, in order to make that change. Yeah, this is kind of a short episode, but that really feels complete to me. The self-acceptance is key. Actually, no, wait, hold the phone. Don't hang up. I do have another part to this. I almost forgot. That would have been sad. Okay, so we've accepted where we are as far as our imperfections, as far as the things that we want to improve on, okay? So that's one piece to the acceptance. There is a second piece. I knew there was a second piece. I was like, why is this so short? The second piece is accepting who it is we want to become, what it is we want to experience, what it is we want to create, who we want to be. Because, and this seems like a weird thing to throw in of like, well, of course I want to be, whatever. But sometimes we refuse to acknowledge what we truly want. And we refuse to acknowledge what we truly want because when we acknowledge what we truly want, we become responsible for it. We become like, now we have to do something about it. If we ignore what it is we truly want, then we don't have to do anything about it. We just don't. So this comes up a lot for me personally inside my own head. Jake will ask me like, is there anything you want to do tonight? Or is there anything you want tonight or whatever? And I know if I say, I'd really like some ice cream, then now I put that out there. I'm responsible for it. Now it's like, now I either have to like ask him to go get some, or I have to get in the car and get some, or I have to say I'd like some, but I'm not really willing to do anything about it. I'm not really willing to whatever, or I'd like some, but I don't want to eat this late, or I'm responsible. Once I've voiced that desire, once I've voiced the thing that I want, I'm responsible for what comes next. However, if I keep the thought in my head and I never voice it, I never admit it, I just ignore it, then I don't have to do anything about it. I don't have to explain why I want it, but I don't. I don't have to explain, why I'm getting in the car. I don't have to ask Jake to do anything. Then I can just pretend it never happened. So this gets more serious when it's on a bigger scale, when it's like someone you want to be, like a person you want to be, a way you want to show up in the world, a way you want to contribute in the world. This gets bigger because when you refuse to accept and acknowledge the person you want to be or the life that you want to live or whatever it is, then you're not going to be able to create it. But we're scared to voice it because we're scared to be responsible for it. We're also scared of judgment, right? Like we're scared that people will judge us for our big audacious dream or, for thinking that we can be whoever it is that we want to be or thinking that we can live the life that we want to live because people are judgy. But the thing is that people are judgy because only the people who are also refusing to acknowledge some call on their life will be judgy. The people who are actively going for it in their life are going to be supportive and excited and encouraging. The people who are also avoiding and resisting and not accepting who it is that they want to be and the life that they want, those are going to be the people who are judgy. But people who are actually going for it, they're going to recognize how scary that is to even admit to yourself, and they're going to be cheering you on. And really, honestly, those are the people that you'd want to tell anyway. You don't want to tell somebody who is just going to weigh you down with all of their negativity and all of their doubt and all of their like, I can't believe you want that. That's just because they're not admitting something to themselves. Okay, so accept and don't judge yourself for the things that you want, for the person that you want to be, for the way that you want to show up and contribute to the world. And yes, you'll have that scary responsibility that now you have to do something about it. Now you are responsible for either bringing it to life or it will be your responsibility for why it didn't come to life. And that sucks too. Honestly, that sucks too. And maybe that sucks more because when we have admitted something, I want to be this person, I want to do this thing, I want to create this thing out in the world, and then we don't do anything about it, then we have a tendency to berate ourselves. We have a tendency to think poorly about ourselves and to tell ourselves all these stories about why we don't follow through and why we don't have any discipline or we've got commitment issues or consistency issues or blah, 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 whatever it is. But those are just stories rooted in fear as well. Fear that you might not be capable or that you might not be able to make it happen or whatever. There's all of this nonsense about it too. So I understand. I truly do understand why we don't accept the things that we want to do, the people that we want to become, the experiences that we want to have. I totally get that. But that doesn't allow you to move forward and create it. You can only create it when you accept that you want it. You can only do something about it when you accept that you want it. And if you want to create reasons why you can't do it, can't be it, can't create it, there will never be a shortage of those reasons. There won't ever. You can find them under a rock and behind every tree. You will always find reasons why it's not possible, why you can't. They're plentiful. And if you start looking for reasons why you can create this thing, why you can be this person, then you can use your powerful imagination to create those as well. And you get to decide which truth you lean into because they become an effective truth, which means that it's only true because you're putting your belief and your energy into it. Otherwise, it would just be neutral. It wouldn't necessarily be a universal truth. It's only an effective truth because you decided that this is the truth that is in effect. This is the truth that works. This is the one that I experience. That's what that means. Okay, so acceptance. This acceptance piece is huge, and there's two pieces to it. There's the one, accepting the things that we don't like, the imperfections, the things that need improvement, accepting those things so that we can then be empowered to change them. And then accepting what it is we want to create, who it is we want to be, the life that we want to experience, so that we can then go and create it, experience it, and be it. The acceptance piece is key, because without that, you're really not giving yourself all the power and energy that you actually have to work with. You're engaging in resistance and avoidance, and you can't create anything out of that. All right, that's what I've got for you today. Thank you for joining me today. I totally love you. I totally appreciate you. Until next time, bye for now.